My daughters claimed I was never really their father, so I decided to cut off all their financial support. But they had no idea just how far I'd go and what would happen when the money stopped. I'm a 54-year-old guy, been busting my ass as a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant for nearly 3 decades. My name's Ray Parker. Grew up in a blue-collar family in Indiana. My dad worked the steel mills till they shut down in the 90s. We lost our house when I was 14, had to move in with my grandparents. My dad never recovered from that hit to his pride. He started working to minimum wage jobs just to keep us afloat, but never stopped teaching me the value of hard work and keeping your word. Parkers don't quit, he'd always say. That phrase carried me through engineering school all-nighters, long weeks working the auto shop to pay tuition, and the early, exhausting years of single parenthood. See, I've got 2 daughters, Samantha 28 and Jessica 25. After my ex-wife Brenda bailed, her personal growth involved a CrossFit instructor named Tyler. It was just me and the girls. Brenda had the usual visitation, but she'd disappear for months, always coming back with promises and expensive gifts she couldn't afford. Well, I was the one left cleaning up the mess. I pulled insane hours, 50-hour work weeks at the plant, plus consulting gigs for other factories, plus teaching night classes at the local community college just to make ends meet. Some months I worked 80 or 90 hours a week. I'd literally fall asleep in my truck in the driveway. But I wanted my daughters to have what I never did: stability, opportunity. Private SAT tutors, done, $120 an hour, twice a week for 8 months. When Samantha demanded a BMW for her 16th birthday because her friend had one, I caved, even though I wanted something more practical. Semester abroad in Paris, sure, even if it meant putting off back surgery for another 6 months. I always figured someday they'd see it. All the overtime, all the sacrifices, they'd appreciate it, right? Turns out, I might have been more naive than I thought. When my daughters were teens, I thought I'd already survived the hardest part. After school, they had SAT tutors, club meetings, volleyball practice. My entire life was a rotating schedule of pickups, drop-offs, and paying whatever bill landed in my inbox next. But the older Sam and Jess got, the less I felt appreciated. My buddy Greg from the factory used to warn me, "Ray, your girls treat you like an ATM." I'd just laugh it off. I wanted to believe I was raising them right. Everything shifted when their mother, Brenda, announced she was getting married again to some tech guy, Logan Sanders. Suddenly, my girls were posting every weekend from Logan's lake house, shopping in Manhattan, taking selfies with his Tesla in the background. Their calls to me were just to brag. "Dad, Logan knows the CEO of Spotify." "Dad, we're flying to LA for Fashion Week on his jet." It stung, but I tried to play it cool. If they're happy, that's what matters, I told myself. One October, I spent 2 full days preparing their favorite family dinner: smoked brisket, sweet potatoes, my mom's old peach pie recipe, the works. I even cleaned the garage so Sam could park her BMW inside. They showed up 2 hours late in Logan's ridiculous SUV, dressed for a nightclub, barely glancing at me before Sam dropped the first bomb. "Dad, we need to talk before we eat," Jess added. "We're spending Christmas with Mom and Logan in Lake Tahoe." He rented out an entire chalet. I tried to hide how much it hurt. "We can celebrate early, whatever works for you." They exchanged that look, the one that means something's coming. Then Jess, without even looking up from her phone, dropped the real news: Logan wants to adopt us as adults. Makes estate stuff easier. I almost laughed. "That's not a real thing." Sam cut in with this icy voice I'd never heard. "It happens all the time." "Logan's worth millions, Dad. It just makes sense." But that wasn't enough. Jess looked me right in the eye and said, "Mom finally told us the truth. You're not our real dad." She had an affair. Logan's the reason. It felt like my entire life, 25 years, collapsed in a heartbeat. I had to steady myself on the counter. The late-night feedings, scraped knees, every single school event, suddenly none of it seemed real. But the worst part, they both just scrolled their phones and waited for me to agree, like this was a business deal. I'd never felt so alone in my life. For days, I felt like a ghost in my own house. Everything reminded me of Sam and Jess photos from dance recitals, handmade Father's Day cards, even the grease stains on the garage floor from teaching them how to change oil. The girls had left without touching a bite of the dinner I'd spent 2 days making. They didn't hug me, didn't say goodbye. I sat there for hours, staring at 2 empty chairs, feeling like I'd been gutted by my own family. On the 3rd day, something inside me snapped. I wasn't about to let anyone rewrite my life. The DNA tests from the custody case proof that I was their father were still in my safety deposit box at First National Bank. I left work early, drove downtown, and dug them out. There it was, Raymond Miller, biological father, 99.99% match. The facts didn't care about their new truth. That same afternoon, I called my old friend Frankie Dawson, a lawyer built like a linebacker who'd never lost a fight. I explained everything, showed him the paperwork, and asked, "What do I do?" Frankie pounded his desk and said, "Ray, we hit back, hard. Cease and desist, immediately. They want to claim you're not their dad. They'll have to prove it in court." A few days later, Logan's high-priced attorney sent an official letter. "Our clients request you cooperate in the transition of parental rights to facilitate a more advantageous family structure." Frankie burst out laughing. "That's not law, that's PR. Ignore it." Meanwhile, Jess posted a photo online, her and Logan on his yacht, sparkling water in hand, captioned, "Sometimes you have to cut toxic people from your life even if they're family. #leveling up." Her new family cheered her on, but people who actually knew me called her out for being ungrateful. Then Logan started texting me directly, "Make this easy, Ray. Sign the papers. You've had your time, but now they're with someone who can really provide." I replied once, "Send DNA evidence or stop contacting me." He fired back, "A real man knows when to step aside for someone better. Don't embarrass yourself." Finally, Brenda called, "Why can't you just let go, Ray? Logan can give them things you never could. Don't be so stubborn." I realized it wasn't just about money. This was about erasing me, one careful step at a time. But they picked the wrong man to walk over. The old me would have rolled over, not anymore. Something about the way they talked, the cold legalese from Logan's lawyer, the veiled threats in Brenda's calls, it all set my nerves on edge. I felt like I was living in a bad movie, waiting for the next betrayal. But I wasn't alone. My poker buddy, Mike Evans, worked in cybersecurity. My neighbor, Detective Linda Shaw, was retired in Waikiki. I told them everything. "Give us a couple days," Mike said. "If this Logan guy's dirty, we'll find it." I kept working, kept my head down. But every time I passed those framed graduation photos, I wondered if any of it had ever meant a damn thing to Sam and Jess. Had they always been waiting for a better offer? Or did I lose them somewhere along the way? 1 week later, Mike showed up with a USB stick and a look that said jackpot. Logan's tech empire was smoke and mirrors, the so-called AI startup. Under investigation by the feds for fraud, the luxury condo. Leased under a fake LLC, 3 months behind on rent. The yachts, cars, vacation homes, all borrowed, leased, or maxed out. Logan was running on fumes and hype, desperate for cash. Linda's contacts dug up more dirt. Turns out Logan had 2 ex-wives who'd accused him of financial abuse. Changed his last name 5 years ago after skipping out on alimony. He was using Sam and Jess to make himself look like a family man for foreign investors' image rehab, nothing more. It all clicked. The adoption wasn't about estate planning. It was about playing the part. Sam and Jess were props in his next con, and I was the inconvenient real dad standing in the way. I didn't confront anyone right away. Instead, I started quietly cutting them off. First, I canceled their cell plans still in my name. Then, I removed them from my credit cards and called in their auto loans. I changed every streaming password and called both their landlords. I'm no longer the guarantor. Finally, I sent each of them a bill every dollar I'd spent on college, cars, travel, and tuition, all neatly itemized. And I called Jess and Sam's employers just to let them know purely professional courtesy that they might be caught up in a federal fraud case, given who their soon-to-be father really was. Frankie reviewed it all. You're clean. You owe them nothing. Now let's see if they still want to be self-made women. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The blowback was immediate. Sam showed up at my office in tears, designer bag clutched like a lifeline. Dad, how could you cut off my phone during media week? I missed 2 interviews. I leaned back in my chair and looked her straight in the eye. Am I your dad, or am I just the guy who paid your bills? She went silent, angry and embarrassed. You're being cruel. We were just figuring things out. I shook my head. You told me I wasn't your father. I'm just honoring your wishes. Security had to walk her out. My coworkers watched in stunned silence. Most of them had heard about Sam's supposed dream job or Jess's influencer trips to LA, funded by hard work and networking. Now they saw the truth. Jess was subtler. She came by the house, no makeup, wearing sweats, trying to look relatable. She started crying before I even opened the door. Dad, please, we messed up. We just thought Logan could help us. It was never personal. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorway. Jess, you have a degree in business. You know what it means to make a deal. You both chose money over family. You both lied about me to the world. So, now what? She stared at the ground. Logan said it would be easier for his business if we distanced ourselves, that it would help with his investors. I didn't budge. You made your choices. Return my credit cards by tomorrow, and those BMWs are getting repossessed if I don't get the payments. Jess broke down. Dad, we need your help. Please, we have nothing. I shook my head. You always had a choice. You just didn't think you'd pay the price. For the next week, my daughter's social media exploded. Sam posted a viral TikTok about her toxic dad financially abusing her, complete with tears and shaky iPhone camera. Jess wrote a brave Medium article about escaping control and choosing herself. The comments were divided. Some friends bought the story, others saw through it and called them out. Meanwhile, Logan's empire was unraveling in the news. The FTC charged him with fraud. His AI company turned out to be a rented office and some stolen code. A Saudi investor went public, saying Logan swindled him out of millions. The press had a field day. Logan was arrested on federal charges, handcuffed in front of his fake penthouse while the world watched on TV. Lisa tried to come crawling back, sobbing at my door. Eric, I made a mistake. The girls didn't mean it. Please. I closed the door in her face. The daughters. Their dream lives crashed overnight. No jobs, no money, no more free rides. And for the first time in years, I felt lighter. 3 months later, the dust had finally settled. Logan got 15 years in federal prison for fraud and money laundering. No white-collar resort either. He's serving time in a real prison where his tech mogul reputation means nothing. Lisa got 5 years for conspiracy after flipping on him and trying to blame everyone but herself. The courts didn't buy her act. As for my daughters, the legal fallout was brutal. They weren't charged criminally. Turns out they were more clueless than criminal, but their reputations were destroyed. Sam was let go from her PR job after clients refused to work with someone linked to a major scam. Jess got fired from her marketing agency as soon as investors caught wind of the headlines. The influencer partnerships dried up. Their teary online survivor stories just fueled the fire when the truth came out. Remember those itemized bills I sent them? My lawyer, Frank, filed civil suits against both girls for the full amount, over $580,000, since they couldn't pay. We got default judgments and liens on their future earnings. For the next 20 years, a quarter of anything they make will be garnished. Now, the sisters live together in a dingy studio apartment, working retail sim folding clothes at H&M, just working the register at Sephora. They take the bus, barely making rent. Their old designer lives just memories. A few weeks ago, I got a letter from Sam handwritten, no return address. Dad, I don't expect forgiveness. We traded loyalty for luxury and lost everything that mattered. I see you now, the sacrifices, the love, the hands that paid for everything. If you ever want to talk, I'll always answer, your daughter, if you'll have me. I burned the letter. Jess tried dropping off a small carved trinket I'd made her as a kid, along with a note. I'm sorry for everything. I'm starting over, taking night classes to become a paralegal. You deserved better. I tossed it in the trash. My sister keeps saying I should forgive them. But where was family when I was being called a monster on the internet? My buddy Tony says they made their choice. They can live with it. As for me, I took a solo road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway, something I'd always dreamed of but never had time for. I started dating again, Melissa, a nurse. No drama, just kindness and gratitude. Work promoted me. I got a raise. Funny how life gets better when you stop sacrificing for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Do I miss my girls? Sometimes, but I miss who they used to be, not who they became. Maybe one day I'll forgive, but trust is earned, not owed. And now, for the first time in years, I'm living my life for me. Thanks for following my story, Reddit.